They say real estate is only for the rich and that you can only start investing when you have so many millions. But today we're going to be telling you that it is way more than that. This is Beyond the Plot, where we discuss the things that happen beyond the plot. Today I'm joined with someone who is at the forefront of shaping the Africa real estate industry. He's not just anyone, he's our group managing director, EVC Nigeria Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Engineer Fola Oyedeji. Sir, can you tell us a bit about your journey in the real estate industry and what motivated you to start from here? Seeing that you're a young CEO yourself.
Thank you so much, moderator, for having me. It's a pleasure and a singular honor to be finally on this podcast session with you all.
Thank you.
It's also a thing of joy to appreciate everyone who is looking into this podcast right now. Like said, Fola Oyedeji is my name, the Group Managing Director, Experience Vision Creations, a constructions and a real estate brand with the mandate of reducing the housing deficit in Africa. And we've started from the microcosm of Kwara State. We extended operations into Oyo State, Ogun State, as well as Lagos State, without leaving our base out, which is Kwara State. Real estate for me, I've always been something that has always been in sync with my story right from childhood. First off, I come from a family where real estate is it's a living, right? From my maternal side, all of my elder brothers have something to do with real estate. And as a person, I have engineering background, civil engineering precisely, and that has also contributed significantly and immensely towards my passion for the industry. Real estate as it is what is eventually going to shape, reward, and harness the potentials that any economy is built upon. And it is for this strong belief system that real estate is a big part of what we do, and which is why we've targeted as a firm young persons, Gen Zs, millennials in this our drive, because we believe that it is no longer the days where only older generations could leverage real estate conversations. We believe that young persons are also privy to own what real estate is all about. They stand a chance to also benefit immensely from what real estate has to offer. I mean, nations have gone to wars, um, brothers have gone to wars, families have colluded, all because of real estate. So, um, persons and people understand the nature of what real estate has to offer in terms of potentials. So, understanding all of this just makes it a whole lot easier to do real estate
Mm.
more as a business. At EVCNG, we are doing real estate as a business.
Leadership in real estate is actually very unique. We have quite a lot of real estate companies coming up right now. In fact, a lot of them compared to like last year or a few years back. So, how do you stand out in this fast paced industry?
Oh, well, thank you so much. More like any other industry, right? The way the Nigerian market and even all market works, it's always a response to demand and supply. So the awareness, the publicity that has gone into the real estate space have also warranted the need for more real estate brands, right?
Yeah.
But as crowded as it seems, right, for us at EVCNG, it has always been people, people before profit, people even before product. So for any organization that operates on that principle of people first would always stand out. And that's always been our edge. The other time I mentioned that real estate for us at EVC is more of beyond just real estate,
Yeah.
is real estate business, right? For any business that will stand the test of time, it has to be big on intentionality. Any business that will stand the test of time has to be big on its people. So for us as a brand, for us as a company, we believe strongly that once our persons or our people have a stronger footing out there, the competition will be lost, right? Most of the backlashes we've had as far as real estate is concerned as an industry in this country have been largely due to the fact that not so many persons coming into the industry
Actually
understand
understands. Yeah.
the business model, and that's why you hear a lot of, oh, there have been fraudulent activities, there have been scams and all of that. So I think that's where the government also needs to pay closer attention to the compliance procedures. The regulatory agencies and bodies in charge of these industries needs to be paid proper attention, and that way we would have lesser of these burdens on our hands.
So, how do you see the real estate market in Africa evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, that's beautiful. I think that's a follow up to your earlier question,
Yes,
right? So the regulatory and compliance framework that would be coming, say 5 years from now, 10 years
10 years
from
from
now,
now.
I foresee a stricter industry, right? A lot of persons did not see it happen. I mean, the banking sector revolutionization that happened in 2003, 2004 during the OBJ regime. A lot of persons did not still believe it would happen. As at when it did happen, it downsized the structure of that particular industry from over 100 banks to just few hundred banks. The same would happen in real estate. Might not be immediate, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I foresee a system that is heavily invested in strict regulatory and
And
compliance
compliance.
framework. A lot of persons would say real estate cannot be replaced by AI, artificial intelligence, and all of that. But when you
True.
come to look at the reality of things in the present era that we are in, I mean, we now conduct virtual inspections, there's now VR inspections, virtual reality inspections. So, a lot of bottlenecks that appear to exist right now, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, they would no longer be there. And that's because there'll be more intentionality even in the sector, in the industry. And these are changes that are bound to happen. When you look at Kenya, Rwanda, and even South Africa, a number of them have been implementing some of these new technologies
Technologies.
and innovation to better the system of the industry at their
Actually.
respective countries. So the Nigeria of today, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and even 10 years from now, the industry would still exist, right? But there will be stricter regulatory framework being introduced, and vis-a-vis is going to just better the system of engagement and operations in the real estate market. We should expect or anticipate newer approaches that would unlock new potentials and possibilities in the space.
Actually, I do like the idea of the VR inspection. That way, it gives people who are in diaspora,
Yeah,
they can't be there
mean,
physically.
one of our clients at EVCNG bought into one of our projects. I think Afonja Boulevard precisely. The person did a virtual inspection,
Actually.
right? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, as much as there were internet, nobody really saw the need of virtual inspections
Inspections.
and all of that. People would always get to inspect properties by proxy, get to inspect properties by families or relatives and all of that, who on most occasions have a different agenda. So yes, these are innovations that would see the light of the day.
It's sure it's a great innovation. So you just said it yourself that there's a lot of change in trends. So now with the changing of innovations and technologies, what are the things or the trends that investors should be looking at?
Well, I think first off, investors need to understand that these are their hard earned monies, right? They should not throw their monies into the gallery because someone just approached them, or because they like the realtor, or
True.
because it just seem like the most convenient thing to do, right? These are hard earned monies, and before they tend to part ways with such monies, the hard questions must be
Must be
asked.
asked.
So part of the trends that I would want investors to hope on, even as we have provisions of VRs and other technologies and innovative tools to get to understand these things, right? is not enough to just ask Chat GPT where is the provident money, yeah, Labat are situated, and all of that. So it should go beyond just wanting to do the ordinary,
Ordinary.
or just wanting to do the average, because they are parting with added money, right? And another thing investors need to really pay attention to, the ownership to that property is not ending with they just sending receipts, right? We have a lot of situations with people just buying into properties, and we understand, oh, you are doing this with responsive or responsible organizations, and for that reason you are not double checking, right? They've given you documents, you are told that allocation is coming up, and most investors would not just pay attention to where the allocation, how the allocation went, and all of that. So these are some of the problems that, if not addressed now, would still become a lingering problem in the future. Because the beauty about real estate is 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, they would still be there, right? And should you fail to do whatever is necessary on day one, on ownership, right? Year 50 into ownership, those problems are still there. So I think the industry would fare better when investors that come into the space understand that, yes, this is an investment, and this is taking a toll on their purse. This is taking a toll on their finances. Their awareness, even after dropping those monies, should not dissipate into thin air. They should continuously give it the kind of attention that it requires. They should continuously ask the right questions. And anytime they are in the country, because we see a lot of investors who are just lazy to come around to even check their properties.
Actually.
So even anytime they're in the country, 2 years, 3 years down the line, they should still nurture the intent to come see these properties. These are things that no technology is going to take away. And I just feel that when investors pay attention to these things, it becomes a good situation for all persons concerned.
Actually. So now, for those in the diaspora looking to invest in the Africa real estate industry, what market would you tell them to look into?
Okay, that's a deep, thoughtful one. Quite sentimentally, I would start from Nigeria, right? Nigeria is a country with around a population exceeding 200 to 20 million. And the way real estate price trajectory works, once there's infrastructure, once there's population, it's always going up, right? And Africa itself, it's another global market. But let's not deviate. Let's niche it down back to Nigeria first. For a Nigerian market, there is a sharp gap between the housing requirement and the housing units available. Meaning that whosoever is smart enough, whosoever is wise enough to put their monies into the gallery of the Nigerian market appropriately, they hold the power for future greatness and future expansion. And in those lists, it will be hypocritical not to acknowledge Lagos. It will be very hypocritical. I mean, Lagos itself is a powerhouse on its own. About 23, 25 million population right now. By 2030, 2035, that population is projected to almost double in size. That's a population of 40 million
40
people.
million. That's a lot.
Right now, we have a huge deficit. People practically have to live under the bridges in Lagos. And that's not because they do not want houses to stay in. It's because there's none. So, the market and the demand for the market, the demand greatly outweighs what the market could offer. And outpour of what is left in the Lagos market is now what we see in Ogun State market right now. It has even gone as far as Ibadan market. And that's to tell you that the potentials that real estate has to offer in the Nigerian market is just superfluous. So for any smart investor, Nigeria is one place to really bet on, and Lagos is just your starting point, right? And if Lagos is seeming unaffordable right now, there are other emerging markets that smart investors can position well in advance. Say Ogun State, Ibadan,
Pardon.
and places like even North Central, Kwara is not what it used to be, right? 4 or 5 years ago, whosoever has the aerial view of Kwara or the pictorial view of Kwara should compare it with what they have today. The gap is
Lots of
a
different.
lot of difference. The margin is just so much. And these are not just numbers, these are not just pictures, these are not just history. This is data. Data that could change the trajectory of people's finances, change the trajectory of people investment, change the trajectory of people lifestyle, which is why Nigeria is always a good market to go to, right? I think our very good market we have out there is the Kenya market and the Rwandese market. For Rwanda, in less than 48 hours, less than a week, you get a business registered, validated, and you can begin doing businesses. So the ease of doing business in some of these African countries are even a lot easier when compared to Europe. Nigeria just moved into a new tax policy for 2026, and a lot of persons would agree. I mean, actual Nigerians actually earning in the country would agree that their tax burden have reduced compared to what it used to be
before.
before. That's to tell you a government that is serious for governance. That's to tell you a government that's serious for business. And for any wise investor, they are looking at the profit margin. They are looking at the ease of doing business. They are looking at the availability of problem to profile solutions to. And these are all things available in the Nigerian market. So for any investor looking at markets to consider, Nigeria is always a good market to go to. A lot of persons see problems, smart investors would see solutions, right? Because inherent in those problems are problems that require solutions. And that's what any smart investors want to do in manufacturing, in oil and gas, in real estate. Think of any typical sector in this country. That's a gold mine out there. And real estate is no any way different. Every hour we have over 1 million persons being born in this country. And the land is not getting any bigger. The population is getting increased on daily basis. And that's to tell you, on weekly basis, over 1 million persons get added into our population almost on weekly basis. So that's to tell you that there is a huge deficit. There is a margin to cover. And only smart investors who are intentional, who are also responsible enough to identify the key markets to operate in, would see this as a good mine of investments.
In case you're just joining us, it's been an amazing session today. Today we are joined with a very important guest, the Group Managing Director, EBC Nigeria Limited, Chief Engineer Fola Oyedeji. And today he's been sharing so much insight on the real estate sector, on the markets that diaspora investors should be looking into when they are looking at investing in Africa. You know, we also talked about the margin that needs to be covered. It's just been so much knowledge, so much information, and if you've not been keeping it locked at Beyond the Plot, you're missing out on a lot. Anyways, we're still joined here with our guest, and he still has so much insights and knowledge to share with us today. Moving to the next question. A lot of people might have been looking or admiring, you know, the community that you are building. It's no news that you have a community where you grow, you know, Gen Zs in the real estate industry, people that are selling, you call them sales partners. So what are those things that you're looking into when getting sales partners to join your communities?
Okay, thank you so much. I think the attention to join our community spiked from last 2 years. I think one of our end of the year parties, a number of incentives was given out and all of that. And I think that's the very first thing that we require for you to join us in our community. Your drive, your ambition for success, your hunger for success must be top notch. Right? The only people that could sell, by the way, sales is what anybody can do, what everybody can do, but sales also needs to be learned, right? There's the language of sales, there's the doctrine of sales, there's the orientation of sales that a lot of persons are not quite familiar with, right? So all of these things can be taught, and that's what we do in the EVC sales community. For anyone to join us, the only ticket is just that you want to earn better. The only ticket is just that you want to live a better life. The only ticket is just that you do not see living a better life as something alien or something the older generations alone can do. And that's why I said the other time that our special focus is on Gen Zs and young millennials. And that's no bluff. Even our sales community, we give attention to them ahead of older generation. And the reason is simple. We want to create a lasting legacy that says that right from a young age, right from teenagehood, right from your early adulthood, you can start earning in millions. And that's the concept for us, right? Everybody is a salesperson. Everybody is a salesperson. Yeah, it is just dependent either you are being sold to or you are the one initiating the sales, right? Nothing moves until sales happen. Nothing moves, right? This particular session could not happen if sales have not happened. You probably have pushed me to come and speak to your community regarding this, right? The chair we are sitting on could not be made except someone was told to make it. The camera covering this beautiful piece could not also come into life except someone have been contracted to do same. So everything we do as humans revolve around sales. So and that means that you must learn the language of sales. You must understand the language of sales, right? And whoever has that burning desire, that penchant for knowledge, that desire for greatness, are those people we require in our sales community. So, as the person, you are a student, you are an NYC member, you have a job, but it's not paying you well enough. You just want extra income. Sales is that thing you want to jump on. We would train you, would teach you, would enlighten you on the do's and don'ts of sales, and in no distant time you begin to go home on monthly basis with hundreds of thousands in commissions, millions of naira in commissions. And yes, to start is just by you starting. So when you are a member of the community, you get to know more about how the community works.
Okay, so to people who do not have any experience in the real estate market sales, because sales is different in every sector. So are there like trainings or
Yeah, of course. Like I mentioned the other time, right? There are do's and don'ts in sales. There are things you say in sales. There are things that you do not say in sales, right? And because we understand that the only difference between someone doing it better and someone doing it not so better is information and knowledge, right? What you know gives you an edge. So we pour so much into our community in terms of knowledge. And even for a matter of fact, there are weekly trainings, monthly trainings, quarterly trainings, and even annual trainings, right? So, and most of these things you learn them for free, right? Because we believe that Africa would not grow beyond the scope of what it is right now, except young persons are empowered appropriately, are empowered adequately, which is why we place premium emphasis on learning, we place premium emphasis on training, we place premium emphasis on empowerment. And there is no one in our community who would not attest to it that yes, we're a knowledge driven community, and that's what we do. We train, we teach, we orientate. People learn, unlearn, and relearn on our platforms, and that's what we are known for.
You've heard from the GMD himself. If you know that this is you, you have the passion, the drive, to change your story, to make good money. This is the call for you to join the EVC sales community. You'll be put through. There's nothing like, I don't know how to do it, or I don't know how to sell, or I don't know the pattern to follow. Everything you need will be given to you. But then, like I say, you can only take the horse to the river. You can't force it to drink water. You can only be taught if you are interested in learning. Back to the issue of our investors. I like to ask, so how can investors know that they are making informed decisions, or how can they make informed decisions and minimizing risk?
First off, let me use this opportunity to appreciate everybody that have been investing back home. Right, investing in Nigeria is like any other investment, is a risk, and yeah, on top of the risk, there are a number of perennial issues to deal with: electricity, bad roads, and a lot of that. But like I mentioned the other time, inherent in all of these problems are visible solutions, right? And for any investor looking to invest back home, the very first thing is to be properly informed, educated, right? Like I said, you don't just buy a property because someone mentioned a company to you. You want to know the backstory to that company. You want to know what track record that company has. You want to know what success story the company has to boast of. Are there metrics in place? Are there information from their past that could guide you into their present, such that you're having a view of their guaranteed future? So there must be a linkage, a connection between what they are offering to you and what they've done in the time past, and what is looking and what their future is looking like. So the hard job that most investors do not want to do is they do not want to do their due diligence about any company. The very first thing that they need is understanding that information is very, very important. Another very important one is every investor must understand timing and patience. Nigeria is not a market you want to invest in January, and by March or by April you're already looking at how do you want to start reaping your investment proceeds, right? Every meaningful investment takes time, and if it is probably unrealistic or too bogus of a promise, right, it then means that it needs to be to you need to be wary of such offers, right? They must understand timing and patience, right? Because should you keep those same monies in your financial institutions, what's the profit margin on yearly basis? Some of them struggle to eat 20% on yearly basis. So how come you want to put that same money in real estate investment and you are looking for 45%, 50%, 80%? They are just laughable numbers, right? So investors must also understand timing and season, because those that do not understand the purpose of patience when it comes to investment are those who eventually get their fingers burnt, and at the end of the day they start generalizing that, oh, a lot of companies in Nigeria are scams and all of that. But they fail to answer the truthful question, the truthful bias of, were you also being sincere with your search of ROI, or you're just being greedy about it? So there's timing and season when it comes to investing in all markets, and Nigerian market is no exception, and real estate industry is also no
It's also no
exception.
exception.
Finally, when you put your money into those investments and you are willing to be patient for those investments to mature, or you do what you are looking for, right? You also need to be involved in the affairs of your investment portfolio managers. A company is telling you they are working on this project, working on this project, working on this project. You practically have no knowledge about other investments or other projects they are working on. Oh, because this is not where I put my money, you are less interested, right? If they do one in a dubious or in a fraudulent way, so yours
Just to also be affected.
will be no exception. So there is a pattern to either success or failure, right? And investors just needs to pay attention to those patterns.
So we've been talking about investors. Now let's talk about young investors, the Gen Z investors. What piece of advice would you give to them? or there are a lot of them who do not know where to put their money in right now. There's a lot of
Okay.
and diversification going on at the moment.
Well, I think at this time and age, if there's any person that is yet to understand that you need money to multiply for you to actually stand a chance against poverty, I think those persons will probably need to be taken back to their undergraduate days and all of that, because right now, as Gen Zs, as young millennials, we have so many Gen Zs, so many millennials jumping on real estate offers here and there. First of all, young persons must understand that when you work and you keep aside some monies in form of savings, that's not investment, right? Investment is something that can produce you money without threatening your capital. Something that can make you more money without threatening your capital. Say, for instance, you put 1 million naira into an investment. What makes it an investment is that it must be able to yield for you without your 1 million naira being threatened. So I see a lot of young persons doing gambling, young persons doing high risk investments, say cryptocurrency and all of that.
Yeah.
And we only get to hear, the funny thing is, we only get to hear of those crypto investments when the market is crashing,
Bad.
when the market is bad, or when it has dipped and is dipping you into a lot of crisis, right? So young persons must understand that as much as you engage in cryptocurrency, those monies showing on your dashboard is not your money until you take profit. And you have to take profit and put it into solid investments. Paper investments, say stocks, say cryptocurrencies, say shares, they are very, very volatile, right? But real estate investment is solid. So as much as I'm making those monies from those platforms, put some of them in real estate investment, right? And that's the only way to really hedge funds against inflation, hedge funds into security. This is the only way you can really, really protect your investment. And if you are still a young person that is yet to understand the full scale of how this work, I think you just need to know better, and we'll be with you every step of the way to guide you to know better.
Thank you very much for that. It's been an interesting one so far. We're almost getting to the end of today's podcast session. But before we go to end it on a lighter note, we would like to ask you a very personal question.
Okay.
So, seeing that you have a lot of Gen Zs in your workspace, can you tell us how many Gen Z slangs that you know?
I think one of the beauty of the Gen Zs is they jump on trends. So every now and then, I think right now I would say that one that they do like is clock it, clock it. Which other one? Which other one is okay? On point,
point.
for which other one? Yes, they've also been teaching me how to dance and all of that. So I like them. Creative, intuitive, inquisitive, and it can be a pain as well, like a pain in the backside. I mean, but then all overall, they're a good crop of people to work with, and like I said, they bring fresh perspectives into stuff, and for me, that's really, really commendable. Which is why I always want to hear what the idea is, what their opinion is. And I think I need to also clarify, I'm also Gen Z, so we are in this together.
We can look it from your outfits.
Oh.
Giving Gen Z vibes.
Oh yeah. They inspire me a lot.
It's been an amazing session. We are more than honored to have you.
Thank you.
Our podcast session. It's been
Thank
nice
you.
having you here at Beyond the Plot. We sure have learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers too have learned a lot. If you have any personal questions or you need mentorship and guidance, do follow Chief Engineer Fola Oyedeji on Instagram. He is Fola Oyedeji on Instagram. You can send him a DM. Ask your questions.
Fola_Yedeji across all platforms. Twitter, which is X, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere. Just Fola_Yedeji.
Even on Google, Fola Oyedeji is the name. Thank you all for joining us. It's been an amazing experience. I can't wait to see you next week. It's Beyond the plot, where we talk about things that happen outside of sight. See you next week. Bye.
Clock it.
Clack it.